Salam namun satkirti loka Bali. Pola pembangunan semesta berencana menuju Bali, era baru. Om Swastiastu. Hello everybody, I'm Artist Maya. In this video, I'm talking a lesson about simple past tense. The purpose of this video is to make you understand about the use and the form of the simple past tense. Well, it must be much more interesting to learn English with a story. So, before starting the lesson, let's watch the following story.
This is Miss Johnson. She's 25 years old and she's single. This is Mr. Smith. He's 29 years old and he's also single. One day, Miss Johnson went shopping at the supermarket and met Mr. Smith. They fell in love and got married the next day. 2 days later, Mr. Smith and Mrs. Johnson had an argument and they broke up. The very next day, Miss Johnson walked to the park for a stroll. She saw a handsome young man named Mr. Williams. They fell in love and got married the next day. Unfortunately, after the wedding, Mr. Williams was hit by a car and died. One day, Miss Johnson was on the bus. She met a young man named Mr. Jones. They fell in love immediately, and Mr. Jones asked Miss Johnson to marry him. They traveled overseas and visited many beautiful places. They stayed at a romantic one-star hotel. 2 days later, Mrs. Johnson gave birth to a beautiful young boy.
So, do you like the story? Well, actually we can learn about the past tense from the story as well. First of all, let's talk about the use of simple past tense. We use simple past tense to talk about completed action in the past. Next, let's talk about the formula of the simple past tense. Dealing with simple past tense, we use simple past form of verbs. For most regular verbs, we add ed at the end of the base verbs. Have a look at this example below. Miss Johnson walked to the park for a stroll. Here, walk becomes walked. Some verbs, however, don't follow any rules. These verbs are called irregular verbs. Have a look at the example. Miss Johnson went shopping at the supermarket and met Mr. Smith. In simple past tense, we also use irregular verb of to be. Of course, you also need to remember the past tense of am, is, and are. Here, am become was, is become was, are become were. For example, Miss Johnson was on the bus. Now, let's talk about negative form in the simple past tense. We change sentence in the simple past tense into negatives by adding didn't and changing verbs in the simple past tense into its base form. Now, let's see an example of negative sentence in the simple past tense. Miss Johnson didn't go shopping at the supermarket. So here, the word went becomes didn't go. Look at the formula of simple past tense. Subject plus didn't plus verbs in its base or infinitive form. Now, let's discuss about the negative form of verbs to be. The negative form of was was not or wasn't, and the negative form of were is were not or weren't. For example, in an affirmative sentence we can say Mr. Jones was very sad. So in a negative form we can say Mr. Jones wasn't very sad. Now let's talk about a question in the simple past tense. We change sentences in the simple past tense into questions by using the following formula. Did plus subject, they, we, I, you, he, she, and it plus verb in its infinitive or base form. Now, let's have a look at the example below. In an affirmative sentence, we can say, they felt very happy. In negative form, we can say, did they feel very happy? Okay then, to make question in the verb with to be, was or were, we simply reverse the order of the words was or were with the subject. Now, have a look at the example. In an affirmative sentence, we say, they were very sad. And in negative form, we can say, were they very sad? Well, that's enough for the lesson today about simple past tense. Hopefully, you can understand better about simple past tense. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you goodbye. Om Santi, Santi, Santi.